Well, the Raptors lose another, I wouldn't say heartbreaker, because I knew, honestly, I had a feeling, even when it was a 2-point game, I had a feeling that the Raptors were going to lose this one. Um, Gary Trent Jr. Makes his debut for the Toronto Raptors, as well as Rodney Hood. I haven't really talked about the trade at all, so I'm going to talk about the trade a little bit in this video as well. Overall, I'm somewhat happy with this game. I wish the Raptors would have just played with as much energy through like the whole game that they did those last like 7 minutes ish. Because they made this a game. This was a 2-point game with 30 seconds left, and if this team could rebound the basketball, the Raps could have had the ball down 2 with a chance to tie or win it, but that's just not the way things went. So, yeah, coming into this game, obviously, fresh off the Norman Powell trade, Gary Trent Jr. coming in. Honestly, I really like Gary Trent Jr. He showed some good defensive possessions tonight. He didn't do much offensively, 8 points. I know it's the first game. It's only the first game. But I'm kind of missing Norman Powell already. I was looking at the stats in the Blazers game. He's playing for the Blazers tonight. He had like 15 points in 12 minutes or something. Something crazy. But yeah, it's only the first game. Hopefully Gary Trent can have some bigger scoring nights. But in terms of defensively, I mean, he had to guard Devin Booker quite a bit in this game, and honestly, a lot of the time he did a pretty good job on Devin Booker. Booker didn't even really go off tonight. He only dropped 16 points, not very efficient. So Gary Trent had some nice defensive possessions. Like I said, it's his first game. He's trying to get acclimated to everything, but the one thing I didn't like was were we down 2? I think we were down 2. Gary Trent comes up on the break. I mean, it was a semi-open 3, but I feel like you could have gotten a better shot. He popped the 3, didn't even hit rim, hit the other side of the backboard. But I mean, we'll give him a pass. It's his first game. Finished with 8 points tonight. Shot 4 for 11, 0 for 5 from 3. But like I said, his defense was pretty good. So obviously not as good a player as Norman Powell, but he is younger. He's 5 years younger. And if this team is going to be looking to go into a rebuild direction, Gary Trent definitely fits the rebuild better than Norman Powell. Even though Norman Powell, he's kind of the same age as the OG or the Pascals, the Freds, the Bouchers. But if we're rebuilding, I would rather have a younger guard. A guard that's 5 years younger. So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see what happens with Gary Trent Jr. He might not even re-sign. He's a restricted free agent, I believe. So the Raptors can match a contract that any team gives him. So it's more likely that he'll stay on the Raptors than not, but there is a chance that you traded Norman Powell and Gary Trent's going to leave anyways. But yeah, Norman Powell, it's a weird situation overall. The whole trade deadline is weird. I'm not too happy about it. But let's talk about the game some more here. Pascal Siakam continues to play really well against the Blazers or the Suns. Don't know why my camera keeps freaking turning off, but I was talking about Pascal. He always seems to have good games against the Suns. He had that game winner a couple years ago in the championship season. Last season, I think we played them twice, and he had 2 really good games. Earlier this season in Phoenix, he had a really good game against them as well. And tonight, he drops 26, 11, and 6, 8 for 17. He went 0 for 6 from 3, which not great, but he did get to the line 11 times. Pascal's getting a lot better at drawing contact, it seems like. I want him to finish through the contact a lot more, but he is getting better at drawing contact and going to the lines. His free throw numbers have been up recently. So Pascal had a great game. Played some good defense as well. Hopefully he'll start knocking down those threes a little bit more frequently. But 26, 11, and 6, like I said, great game from Pascal Siakam. Great, even the playmaking, you look at the 6 assists there. He was just doing a good job getting in the paint. He had a couple nice assists to Chris Boucher. One to OG, maybe? I'm not sure. But we've seen that Pascal's playmaking has improved as well. And, I mean, he looks like he's finding his rhythm. He was coming back off COVID. He looked a little bit tired, a little bit rusty, but That game against Utah, he was great. This game, he's great as well. So shout out to Pascal. Played a great game in this one. Kyle Lowry continues to struggle with his shot, 4 for 12 from the field, but he did have 6 assists, 11 points, 5 rebounds. Hopefully those shots start falling a little bit more frequently as well. He's been in kind of a little bit of a shooting slump lately, so hopefully he can get out of that. Fred VanVleet shot the ball well. I mean, he took a lot of shots, took 15 threes, finished with 22 points. But overall, the defense just wasn't good enough. The Raps, I mean, the Suns only put up 104 points. You might look at that and think the defense was all right, but at one point, the Suns were shooting like 52% and 40% from three. In the second half, the defense was a lot better because you look at the Suns, they finished shooting 25%. They couldn't hit a shot to save their lives in the fourth quarter, especially. But in the first quarter, in the first half, the defense has to be better. They put up 29, 24, 30 in the third, but then you look at the fourth, 21 in the fourth. The effort by the Raptors definitely was better in the fourth quarter, but I wouldn't say it was all just the Raptors improving defensively by that much. The big part of this, the big problem with this game is the rebounds, and we saw that on the last play. The Suns weren't shooting it very well in the second half, and because of all those misses, they were getting a lot of offensive rebounds, and this team needs size so bad. This team needs to hopefully pick up like a Jiang. Is that Dang? It's Dang, not Jiang. What am I saying? In the buyout market. Drummond is in the buyout market, but Toronto's not even on his list apparently. So maybe like a Dang would be nice. Gorgie Dang. He's got good size. He can kind of shoot the three a little bit. He's all right. But just anyone with size would be nice for this team at this point because they cannot get rebounds to save their lives. Looking at the actual rebounding numbers here, 47-38. Once again, another game where they get out-rebounded by quite a bit. DeAndre Ayton was an absolute beast tonight. He just could not be stopped. 19 points, 9 rebounds, super efficient, 9 for 12 from the field. And Chris Paul did a really good job of finding DeAndre Ayton in the pick and roll. The pick and roll defense by the Raptors was absolutely terrible. The amount of open dunks, lobs, just layups at the rim. Chris Paul had 8 assists tonight, and the Suns did a really good job of getting in the paint, and there was really no defense, no resistance in the paint at all. Guys were getting to the rim way too easy. And when they did get to the rim, there was no rim protection because this team doesn't have a legitimate big other than, Boucher is a good shot blocker, but when he's not out there, you can't really expect Baines to be a great shot blocker. So, the Suns outscored the Raptors 58-32 in the points in the paint category. So they were absolutely dominating in the paint. The Raptors were down by 14 points at one point in the third quarter. So the fact that they were actually in this game is kind of impressive. But they couldn't get a rebound. Shout out to OG Anunoby. This dude played great defense on Devin Booker in that last possession there. But Kyle Lowry, you're having Kyle and Fred down there trying to rebound. That's not who you want trying to get rebounds. They're so small. It's just so hard for them to get rebounds over anybody. Even when they box out good, like any bounce that doesn't go perfectly their way, it's going to be tough to get rebounds just because of their size. And the Raptors, they haven't really been showing up in third quarters. We've seen that against Utah. Against a couple of these recent games, they haven't been showing up in the third quarter at all. Teams have just been kind of running away with games. Thankfully, like I said, the Raptors kind of brought this one back a little bit, but the Suns, they had a double-digit lead. They were up 14 at one point in the third quarter. So the Raptors need to find a way to come out of the half and just play better. Like, the defense was atrocious tonight, and like I said, you look at the shooting numbers, they're not that great, but the rebounding is a part of defense, and the Raptors did not rebound at all. That's one half of a defensive possession. You got to get a rebound because this team is getting so much more shots, so much more chances to get buckets. They shot 90 shots tonight. Let's see how many the Raptors shot. The Raptors shot 90 as well. Okay. But once again, the offensive rebounds for the Suns, just a big problem in this game. Who else here on the Raptors? I mean, Rodney Hood, he's kind of a side piece in that deal. He's not looked good coming off of he tore his Achilles, right? I'm right in saying that, right? He's been averaging like 5 points per game this season with the Blazers. He's not looked like his former self coming off that injury. I mean, he had one nice turnaround shot over Chris Paul, but other than that, it seems like he's going to be just a nice role player, kind of like filling in that Stanley Johnson role. He plays all right defense. He has more shooting ability than Stanley Johnson, but I don't think he's going to get that many shots. So he's kind of just a role player in this team coming off the bench. Played 18 minutes tonight, so not sure what his minutes are going to look like moving forward. But Chris Boucher only played 11 minutes tonight, 5 points, 3 boards in those 11 minutes. I would like to see him play more. The matchup with Ayton is tough because Ayton's just so big and physical. But I would like to see him play more than 11 minutes because Baines is getting 14 minutes. I mean, Baines had an all right game, 6 points, 4 boards. But yeah, Malachi Flynn. Actually, I wanted to talk about Flynn because he had some nice minutes. Played 14 minutes tonight, 5 points, 3 boards. The stats don't jump out at you, but I feel like he played pretty good defense on Chris Paul tonight, stepping up to that challenge. I mean, with Norm out, he's going to get a lot more opportunity. He's going to get a lot more shots, which is going to be good for him and his growth. And it seemed like he tried to take advantage of that tonight. Hit one three, hit a pull-up jumper, I believe, coming off a screen. 2 for 5, 1 for 3 from 3. But really, it was just his defense. He was bringing the effort. He was bringing the hustle. So I was happy with what I saw out of Malachi Flynn. Lowry, once again, his shots, hopefully they just start falling. OG was great tonight, even though he looked 5 for 12, 2 for 6. Not great shooting percentages, but he finished with 15 points, 7 boards, 3 assists. Like I said, that great defensive possession against Devin Booker. Played great defense all night, especially when he got switched on to Chris Paul. I mean, he did his best against Ayton. Ayton's just so much bigger that Ayton was able to take advantage of it. But overall, OG played some elite defense tonight. The amount of times that we've seen OG come up with a really clutch, defensive stop at the end of games is actually really impressive. You think about that one. Was it last year? I believe, it was last year against Karis LeVert during that winning streak. And he's just had a bunch of clutch defensive possessions or performances, and tonight was one of them. Obviously, you don't get the win, but, I mean, if this team just needs they need to get that rebound. You get that rebound, you come down, try and get something. It's a tie game or you're winning the game. Rebounding is just so crucial. Kyle Lowry was a minus 13 tonight, coming off that plus 42. He was actually the worst plus minus in the game. And I feel like Kyle was having to play with the Flynns, the Hoods, the Baines, the bench guys. And that lineup just did not do great. That's why Kyle's plus minus is so low. I felt like Fred's, the combination with Fred, Pascal, OG, Gary Trent, and then you throw maybe Chris in there, and Rodney Hood, that seemed to do better in this game. It's just going to be interesting to see what Nick Nurse does with the lineups here. If this team continues to go small, because is Gary Trent taller than Norm? I feel like they're almost the same height. Norm's like 6'4" or 6'3", I believe. Gary Trent is 6. Not telling me. I think he's 6'5". I think Gary Trent's 6'5". So they're kind of the similar height. I don't know who's a better defender. That's a tough one. I would say, I've watched Norman Powell, so I would lean towards Norman Powell being a better defender. But Gary Trent, he showed it tonight. He plays with a lot of energy. He doesn't step down from anybody. He was getting right up into Booker's face. Had a nice steal on Booker in the first quarter. Got his hands on the ball, ripped it away from Booker. But yeah. Gary Trent, he's got a lot of upside, only 22, like I've said before. He can shoot the ball. He has been not shooting it great this year, but we saw in the bubble, maybe that was just a streaky performance. Maybe he was just hot. But I think he's an elite, not an elite shooter. He's a great shooter. So hopefully we see some more of that in these next couple games here. But that's pretty much it for this recap. The Raptors just didn't play good enough defense at points, and they didn't rebound the ball well enough at all. But yeah, I miss Norman Powell already. Raps might have won this game if Norman Powell was here, honestly. But whatever, it's fine. That's going to do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.